Jem Fuller here. This is for podcast guests. It's not about you. Seems counterintuitive, right? I mean, surely it's about you. You're the one being interviewed. You're the one being asked about your story, your learnings, your lessons, the stuff that you want to share. So how can it not be about you? But the funny thing is that when we go into a podcast interview with this mindset, with this perspective that it's about me, we can become self-conscious and we can get in the way of the higher good of the conversation, of the interview, the potential positive impact for the person interviewing us, for the show, and ultimately for their listeners. So we can get in our own way. So here lies the duality. On the one hand, it's all about me because I'm the one being interviewed. And on the other hand, it's not about me because it's about the positive impact, hopefully, that this conversation can have for other people. And it is about me in as much as it's about my ability to get out of my own way and not make it about me. Yeah, so this duality is something worth exploring, and that's what I want to talk about today. Our self-consciousness can be a barrier towards the quality of what we're hoping to do in the end anyway, which is positively impact the lives of others. There was a time in 1998, it was, in a city in India called Varanasi. And this was in the year of one of my spiritual quests, shall we say. I was dreadlocked, barefoot, and wandering around the Indian subcontinent, searching for the meaning to life, or at least the meaning to my own life and how I fit within it all. I was necessarily very self-conscious and beginning a journey of self-reparation, of self-acceptance and self-love, so that essentially in the end, I could get out of my own way and not make it about me. But to get there, I was making it all about me because that's all I knew to do. I was in my late 20s. I was in Varanasi in India and I'd been writing songs for a long time, but not sharing them because of my self-consciousness. So I'd been writing songs, but keeping them to myself and playing them in my bedroom. I was in Varanasi and my sister was there. I met up with my sister and we were sitting on a boat on the river with some other backpackers and some local sadhus. We were sitting around and I had my guitar and I was quietly playing in the corner of the room. And my sister said, "I can't hear you. Can you sing up a little bit, please?" And I was very self-conscious, but I kind of got the confidence and I started singing some of my original songs so that other people on the boat could hear it. Anyway, at the end of the evening, my sister said to me, "Jem, you write beautiful songs. Why don't you share them?" And I said, "Oh, people don't want to hear about my stuff. All my songs are very personal. They're about my own struggles or my own, emotions or whatever. And I don't want to, people don't want to hear about me." And she said, "You're missing the point. When someone listens to a song, they're not making it about you. They're identifying with the song to their own life. They're relating to the song. They're hearing the words from your songs and they're thinking, how does this relate to me? How can I associate with this song?" So she said, "Do you know, you're actually being really selfish. By you making it about you and keeping those songs to yourself, you're preventing other people from the joy or from anything that they will benefit from listening to your music. You're being selfish." And it really hit home with me. I was like, wow, I'm getting in the way of music being shared by making it all about me. So that's when I started to shift my thinking and go, hang on, even though I wrote this song and in the moment of writing this song, it was all about me, in the sharing of the song, it's not about me. It's a sharing and it's an opportunity for other people to benefit from that song. So it's the similar thing with turning up to a podcast interview, is the ability to not make it about you and to serve. This can also help with the flow of the conversation. It can help with the authenticity. It can help with any self-conceitedness being put to the side. So I want to share 3 things to help you do that. 1, start with why. 2, put your ego to the side. And 3, lean in and listen. So start with why. What do I mean by this? Why are we having this conversation? What is the higher purpose of the podcast interview? Why does the show exist? Now, this is something that you can just ask your podcast host prior to the interview. In fact, when I'm finding out podcasts to go on, I don't mind how many listeners they have. I don't mind how many downloads they have. What I am curious about is, why do you run this podcast? What is your higher purpose? What is your reason for doing this? And then if I know the higher purpose of the podcast, I can better serve the higher purpose why. Then next thing I'm curious about is why the podcaster is doing it. What is in this conversation for them? What are they hoping for from this conversation? And then lastly, what I'm then remembering is, what's my higher purpose? Yeah. So it's not about me. What's the higher purpose, the positive impact that I'm hoping to have? So this is starting with why. 2, put your ego to the side. Our ego takes everything personally. It's super, super defensive, very, very reactive. Our ego will defend its sense of identity above and beyond everything else. And we identify with our ideas. We identify with our politic. We identify with our beliefs. Now, if it's your ego driving you through this conversation, you will be very, very tightly gripping onto these ideas that you have on the way you think things should be. Now, this makes for sometimes a rigid conversation. It can also make for interesting debate around differing opinions, which is wonderful. But you can still debate differing opinions and have a robust conversation and loosen your grip a little bit on the way you think things should be. So being able to just put your ego across to the side a little bit and say, it's all right, I'll pick you back up again after this conversation. But right now, it's not about me trying to prove a point. It's really about us having a wonderful conversation and seeing where it goes. When we hold on tightly to something, the course is predetermined. When we loosen our grip a little bit, then the course of the communication can flow and it can go where it needs to go. 3rd point, lean in and listen. Yes, even as the podcast guest. Even though the general format for this interview would be that the podcast host is asking you questions and you're answering these questions, the more you can pause, lean in to the conversation and listen, and really seek to understand the other person in this conversation with you. When you come with a curiosity and an open mind to their perspective and their point of view, then this can create a conversation that really elevates beyond the individuals involved, and it becomes a collective communication. The word communication actually originally comes from the Latin noun communicatio, which means a sharing, and the Latin verb communicare, which means to make common. So for communication to be achieving its goal, this is what we need to be aware of. The higher purpose. I don't really mind how we're going to get where we're going in this conversation. What I do mind about is, why are we having this conversation? So keep the higher purpose in mind. I don't mind what you think of me. And I don't mind what your listeners think of me. This is not my primary concern in the conversation. What I do mind about is authenticity. What I do mind about is connection. What I do mind about is, hopefully, if this conversation is beneficial to somebody listening out there somewhere. And I will lean in to listen, and I will seek to understand. Now, I may not always agree with everything that you say, but my intention is to open my mind and consider your perspective before I decide which way I want to think about this particular issue that we're talking about. So, they're my 3 tips for you as a podcast guest. I hope this has been helpful. Congratulations on being part of the Podmatch community. It's super, super awesome. I'm really, really glad that I got put onto Podmatch. It's been pretty life-changing. I don't know, is that too much to say? It's been awesome. Wonderful to be a part of this community, and I look forward to having a really good quality conversation with you at some point in time in the future. Bye for now.